If you've been watching the news lately, you've probably felt it. This growing sense of tension around the world. All this talk of major conflict seems to be everywhere and is raising a really unsettling question.
Yeah, it's a question on a lot of our minds, right? Are all these different conflicts just isolated things, or are they all symptoms of something much bigger, something building just under the surface?
So while the headlines are flying around 24/7, a lot of the geopolitical analysts who track these things for a living are actually circling one specific year on the calendar. They see 2026 as this potential tipping point, a moment where a whole bunch of different pressures could all come to a head at once. And that's what we're going to break down right now.
All right, so first things first. What makes 2026 stand out? Well, it's not really about one single threat. It's more like a whole collection of different factors that all seem to be peaking around the exact same time, creating what you could call a global pressure cooker.
Okay, so what we're looking at here are the ingredients in that pressure cooker. You've got multiple wars already raging around the world. You've got defense spending that is just blown past Cold War era levels, which is insane. Then you're going to see a whole series of major global elections that could shift policies everywhere. And all of this is happening at the same time as a new arms race is speeding up, and a lot of major economies are getting weaker. That last one is a historically dangerous mix, because sometimes leaders look for conflicts abroad to distract from problems at home.
So to really get a handle on the risk, we have to look at the actual places on the map where a small spark could ignite a much, much bigger fire. Let's do a quick tour of the world's most dangerous flashpoints.
And we have to start with the one that has already completely reshaped security in Europe, the war in Ukraine. It is this persistent, grinding source of instability that, honestly, shows no signs of ending anytime soon.
Think about it. By 2026, this war will be pushing into its fourth year, maybe longer. The battle lines are dug in deep, and NATO is continuing to send more and more advanced weapons to Ukraine. The real danger here, the thing analysts are watching, is the potential for a chain reaction. If Russia feels like it's being backed into a corner, or if NATO gets even more directly involved, this regional war could escalate into something way, way bigger very fast.
All right, now let's shift gears and head over to Asia, because this is where things get even more precarious. You've got two global superpowers facing off. The tension around Taiwan is, without a doubt, one of the most closely watched situations on the entire planet.
So what's happening? Well, we are seeing a non-stop increase in Chinese military drills right on Taiwan's doorstep. At the same time, Taiwan's own leadership is becoming more assertive about its independence. And here's the kicker. The U.S. is legally obligated to help Taiwan defend itself. This creates this incredibly tense, hair-trigger situation where just one miscalculation, a fighter jet or a warship in the wrong place at the wrong time, could cause everything to spiral out of control.
Okay, next up, the Middle East. And this one's different. It's not a simple one-on-one standoff. It's more like a tangled web of interconnected conflicts all simmering at the exact same time.
You've got this long-running shadow war between Iran and Israel that keeps flaring up. Then you have all their proxy groups, like the Houthis in Yemen or Hezbollah in Lebanon, who are constantly making moves. And, as we've all seen, they're capable of causing massive disruptions to global trade in critical places like the Red Sea. The big fear here is that one of these smaller conflicts spills over and leads to a direct state-on-state attack. That could be the spark that ignites a huge regional war.
So we've looked at the specific locations, right? The hotspots. But now let's zoom out and look at the bigger global trends. You can think of these as the planet's vital signs. And yeah, some of them are flashing bright red right now.
Get ready for this number. $2 trillion. That is the staggering amount the world is now spending on its militaries every single year. Just let that sink in. That's more money, adjusted for inflation, than at any point during the Cold War.
And this chart just breaks it down perfectly. You can see exactly who is driving this massive spending spree. The United States, China, and Russia are all dramatically increasing their military budgets. It's fueling a global arms race, and it sends a pretty clear signal that the major world powers are getting ready for a potential fight. At the exact same time, the world is, well, it's kind of picking teams. On one side, you have NATO getting bigger and stronger, with countries like Finland and Sweden joining up. But on the other side, you have the BRICS group, which is also expanding, adding huge players like Saudi Arabia and Iran. What's happening is the formation of two competing global blocs, a pattern that, if you look at history, can often be a warning sign of a major conflict to come.
Okay, I know, it all sounds pretty grim, right? We've got pressure building, warning lights flashing all over the place, which brings us to maybe the single most important question in all of this. With all this tension, what's stopping the whole thing from just exploding?
And this right here,
This slide is the heart of the matter. It's the great global standoff. Think of it like a giant tug of war. On one side, you have all these forces we've talked about, pulling us towards a conflict. But on the other side, you have these incredibly powerful forces pulling us back from the brink. Things like our economies being so tangled up that a major war would be a financial disaster for everyone. Or the simple fact that the big powers are already stretched pretty thin. But the biggest break of all is that one right at the top of the list. Nuclear deterrence. It's this simple yet absolutely terrifying logic of mutually assured destruction, or MAD for short. And it remains, without a doubt, the single most powerful factor preventing a direct war between countries like the US, Russia, and China. No leader wants to be the one to start a war that would lead to unimaginable destruction for everyone involved. It's the ultimate handbrake on global conflict.
Okay, so let's pull all this together. We've looked at the hotspots, the warning signs, and the powerful brakes holding everything back. So, what's the final verdict on 2026?
Here's the bottom line. The risk in 2026 is dangerously high, that's for sure. All these overlapping crises have created an incredibly fragile global environment. However, and this is a huge however, those powerful deterrents, especially the economic and nuclear ones, are still holding things back. The world is definitely on edge, but it doesn't seem to be over the brink. Yet.
There's a quote from one of the analyses we looked at that just perfectly captures this moment. It says, "The world isn't stable, but it isn't at the full war threshold either." And that's exactly it. We're caught in this tense, really uncomfortable middle ground, a state of major instability that still falls just short of an all-out war between the great powers.
And that leaves us with the final critical question, doesn't it? We're living in this weird state that isn't quite war, but it is definitely not peace. And the real challenge for all of us is to figure out how long can this incredibly fragile, tense balance actually last?